Good morning, dear OTs. Our topic is retail banking in public sector banks, achieving enhanced customer service delivery. I am sure each one of us sitting here has experienced, is a witness of the service delivery of public sector banks, whether SBI or PNB or Bank of Baroda. So that is why we had opted to choose this topic for the policy paper. Today, the performance and growth of any public sector undertaking depends upon the customer satisfaction, its customers. The customer demands are increasing limitlessly. The competition is increasing. There are uncertainties. There are rapid technological advancements. And I'm sure there's a technological ability gap to meet the requirement of the upcoming tech-savvy youth. So our problem statement is increasing the customer service delivery of public sector banks in India. What is the issue? The most prominent issue of these banks is the performance issue, the service delivery issues. They are not at par with what the private banks are providing to us. The senior citizens, the normal customers, they have become a victim of unfriendly day-to-day routine banking. Even for small petty matters, like if somebody goes with a passbook and has to get his passbook updated or a mobile number updated, very small routine for the banking, a significant amount of time is invested in today's technological era. So the traditional working style of these banks is definitely not at par with what is required by today's youth. And so there's a need to have a user-friendly, market-driven products and services being offered by PSBs. Now, from here, Aman will take on.
Thank you, Web sir. Good morning, all panel members and all my fellow officers. As the issues discussed by the Web sir, I will focus what is the need of this policy now. So there has been a tremendous increase in the non-performing assets of PSBs, as well as the financial frauds is increasing day by day, which reduces people trust in public sector institutions. Also, the balance sheet of PSB is becoming worsened day by day. The ratio of the staff cost to operating expenses is increasing. The most important, the saving rates are decreasing, which also lowers the investment rates, resulting in higher unemployment, which is the major issue of our country nowadays. So, in a nutshell, these bank top management has to pay more attention to bank strategy and operation, risk mitigation, business development and compliance of the customer satisfaction and responsiveness. So we can say that the customer satisfaction is measured by the following things, in which the banks needs to understand the customer perception, what their specific demands, and make customized product according to that. They need to understand their own strength and weakness and assess their comparison with their private banks and the modern technology that are required by the youth. They need to improve their working styles, which is consonant with the requirement of the tech-savvy route. Now we can focus on the service quality. So first of all, I would explain what is service quality. Service quality is the overall level of achievement in service and how customers are satisfied. Here are the 5 dimensions in which we can measure the service quality of any bank. These are tangibility, reliability, assurance, empathy, responsiveness. I will explain one by one. Tangibility means the tangibles that are seen by the customers, like the bank branches, ATMs, and the service centers. And in any city, there are more tangibles. It is perceived by the customer that this bank has a good service quality. Reliability. Reliability means to deliver service in a correct manner and the service also consistent. For example, banks have all the information of their account holders and card holders. They do not exploit their card holder information, and also they should adopt the latest technology as soon as possible. Assurance. Assurance means the employees' expertise and respect towards customers. They should treat customers in a good way. Empathy. Empathy in the banks, we see that the customer come from different socio-economical background. So the banks should emphasize customized attention and develop products according to the customer specific needs. Responsiveness. Responsiveness means the amount of time the banks take to resolve the problems of the customers and provides a service. For a good bank, the service should be 24/7. The next part will be taken by the Ankit sir.
In order to transform customer experience, we propose the following. First, and the foremost thing is we propose banks need to focus on end-to-end process automation. It is to be understood that digitization is not the same as digital transformation. If a bank converts a set of business processes, workflows, and accompanying papers, forms into digital form, they have accomplished nothing more than digitization of the paper-based activity. It is to be understood that there is a gap to be filled in the customer experience in terms of making it more frictionless, reducing problem-solving time, and bringing happiness into the total customer journey. End-to-end automation is the ability to automate processes from the front end to the back end and everything in between. Today, the banks offer multiple touch points for customers to obtain loans, credit cards, and various other products and services. While the front-end processes have become hassle-free for customers, the same is not true for the back-end processes. They continue to remain time-consuming and prone to human errors. End-to-end process automation resolves these issues and ensures higher productivity, low employee churnout, and increased customer satisfaction. The next thing we propose is optimization of customer verification processes. If a bank already has a KYC information on file, optimization of customer verification processes. Next is compatibility of fintech products in all clouds and platforms. The banks need to test and review portals and apps of all major browsers for functionality, stability, and speed.
Do you think this AI chatbot actually help the customers?
Yes, sir. Like ICICI Bank, they have an AI.
No, they have. Does it actually satisfy my need?
Yes, sir.
I don't think so.
The time reduced, the time is significantly reduced. It asks what is your need and it monitors. It progresses.
It monitors, but the thing is, if I want to talk to my bank managers, I don't get that personalized service in chatbots because they have some set of algorithm beyond which they cannot respond.
While calling the customer care, the artificial intelligence recognizes whatever we are saying and we can directly reach the menu in a much reduced.
So for the routine issues, it can be helpful, but not for. Now, performance appraisal of. We are proposing what can be the performance appraisal in the form. Feedback, closed loop feedback is the performance is to be evaluated by the seniors, and the same self-appraisal of the employees also, and their feedback on their performance evaluated by the seniors. Determine the continuity of the product and services. After evaluate performance appraisal, they need to determine if the product is to be continued or discontinued. Next part will be covered by Ayan.
Good morning, sir. So basically the performance appraisal can be put into actionable mechanism into many different dimensions, but our policy will be restricted in broadly two areas. One is human resource based mechanism and other is into the marketing and sales services based. So the first it comes to the HR mechanism, that is employees performance appraisal mechanism. In today's information age, as we know, the world is heading towards knowledge based economy. So HR is the most crucial part of any banking or financial institution. In a blend of managerial and operative functions to achieve a strong human base, we proposed a mechanism which is directly linked with the inputs from the inside and outside of the banking system. In inside, we take inputs from the banking managers in line of hierarchy, and in outside of the organization, we'll take input from the client and consumers, day-to-day consumers view. So based on the different role the banking employees are employed, like retail, small finance, there the inputs will be converted into a quantitative data, and we analyze the performance where the actual gap is lying based on the potential of that employee, and we impart different type of career development programs such as specialized training to fulfill that competency part of that employee. And then the next part, the next dimension is the appraisal system, which is basically to understand the penetration of any product of bank and the extent of financial inclusion in rural and urban and rural areas. So based in here also, the main evaluator will be the client and consumer based on their responsiveness, accessibility and affordability of different services. Here the techno-commercial feasibility gap will be fulfilled through a 360-degree multivariant approach, where in a product life cycle management we can actually better the way which actually the product designed for. So a closed loop feedback mechanism the sir is proposed. We take inputs and make it incorporated into that service. Like in only SBI, there is one institute for consumer banking. Here it is in Hyderabad. But in other banks for the customer satisfaction measurement, there is no such way here. So we propose that in a nutshell, the central bank should propose a statutory regulation or any enforceable rule, so that the human capital will improve and the standard of the service should be at par market level. The next part will be covered by Ise.
Good morning, sir. And conclusion of this policy paper is to bank have to improve the service quality, which is a supreme role in the long-term sustainability. And the next one is the urgent requirement of the noteworthy reforms in the service delivery mechanism. And also there is a need of a technology modernizations, that is the need for the customers. And the fourth one is the combating to fraud, which is also a need of this time, and incorporating of the real-time grievances and redressal mechanism. And the last one is the transform the mindset of the staff personals through the greater knowledge and through the trainings, and to enhance their communication in, skills, which is improve the customer satisfaction. Next, thank you, sir.
In fact, go to slide number 7. You know, you have chosen a very, the opening was very nice. You know, I liked the way he tried to motivate the discussion. 6, I think, 6, yeah. So basically, your main criteria was, then you guys spread it out too thin. Your main criteria was how to improve the service quality, if I'm not mistaken, of the public sector bank.
Yes, customer.
Had you were able to create an index, you know, you have created this 5 pillar, you know, tangibility, reliability, assurance, empathy, responsiveness. Is it possible for you to go to some or do some primary survey for some public sector bank, get some data, create an index, and then rank those public sector bank, and then tell the RBI that, look, on this basis we are suggesting that this way it can be improved, you know?
Sir, we studied some research papers. These are already have been done based on the customer responsiveness, affordability, and accessibility,
so they are
and financial.
The
yes, they are ranking. And
so why did you not mention about those things?
Literature. This is a broad areas. New.
Okay.
They are focusing on many aspects.
So you can create the index with that spam and this other thing.
So the more
satisfaction index, a hypothetical satisfaction index, which have been done in previous cases.
Actually, so the problem comes in HR for customer satisfaction. That is mostly contributing to 30 to 35% across the research paper. And the second is the
so what HR has to do with customer satisfaction?
Their approach to the customer is neglectful actually.
The
Performance.
of the
Okay. So they are not taking that into criteria while promoting any bank managers.
Bank, yes.
So no government organization.
Yeah, that should come out because that's a good value addition.
Written in the paper, this
So
is
do a create one index, including that spam and this thing which you have contributed, and that can be a good study.
We are already
in the paper also.
So what is the result? Have you ranked the banks?
Yes. Not bank, actually we, sir, rank the criteria actually. Which
No, you
criteria
should
will
be
come
able-
first?
You should be able to rank the banks on this basis criteria. Yeah, so you go and do some survey with some public sector banks.
The literature, we see that the State Bank of India is the best among these public sector banks. Unlike Bank of Baroda, Allahabad.
Not in terms of service here. I have been to State Bank of India many times.
Studies in public sector banks, sir, not the whole.
No, I'm talking about in public sector bank. I find Baroda to be much
Baroda is in
helpful.
second, sir, actually.
Okay, thank you.
The place they are conducted is the study in the Gujarat or something area of where result is good.
No, when you are talking about this public sector, have you, what do you think, whether, I mean, these kind of customer services are much better in private sector banks, and do you think that? No. Okay.
Sir, according to the sir,
Is it your, I mean, kind of perception, or it is based on some kind of index?
Index, sir.
How are you coming
Actually,
to-
on some, there are two papers. One is from Deloitte. They considered ICICI Bank, HDFC, and other 2 or 3 public sector banks. So they compared that private and public sector bank, and they propose some main areas where they are heading, that is technological advancement, which public sector banks are not incorporating.
And within that, the customer service, there are two aspects. One is that normal transactions, and the other one is the credit related. So, transactions. Okay.
Normal and small financing,
Small
not the big loans or not MSME and agri waste. No.
Because of the public sector banks are good in providing loans to the big corporate and this stuff, but majority of the people in the rural areas face so much difficulty in getting even small banking finding.
Yeah. Have you seen one of the issue with this public sector banks not able to provide their whatever quality service, the number of customers per bank branch?
They are slowly shifting.
Is there one kind of indicator there in the this index?
Yes, sir. The customers are slowly shifting in the private sector banks. As more private sector banks branches are opening in the B class or C class cities, people tend to make account in these cities. The studies carried out. So the number of customer accounts are increasing in the ICICI and HDFC, and the accounts are decreasing in these public sector banks.
On an average, what is that the number of bank accounts per branch or per? Any idea? Okay. No. Okay, forget it. Then what about this? I mean, one point you are mentioning is that the HR related issues.
Yes, sir.
But in the public sector banks and private sector banks, there is a huge difference. In having this unit called HR, so-called HR unit.
So by HR we mean the performance part. HR will measure the performance.
HR is completely dealing with the customers, information related aspects, not, other people there, isn't it? Do you mean by that, or?
Yes, sir. In terms of HR, private sector banks are way ahead compared to public sector banks, because they actually go to fields and study the problems of different rural or semi-urban background people, and provide some loans, but small loans. But
they are like, instead of that, they are marketing people only, bank marketing, isn't it?
Yes.
Marketing people,
Yes.
those who are reaching out to the various, customers.
Yes.
So they are just marketing, for the marketing purpose only, they are going out and then trying to.
The private sector being developed product according to the needs. For example, if I have an account in a particular bank and I want to take a loan or make a credit card, why I should need to fill the KYC form once again? In SBI or any public sector bank, I need to fill same formalities again. But in the these ICICI and HDFC bank, I just write my account and PAN number, all the details are pre-filled, I just only authorize it. So it saves the time, sir. So these develop the product according to the requirement of the people. They have already the information. So why should I, and they already verified earlier, so why should they verify
So that means the reducing the transaction time,
Yes, sir,
the time of the
times,
customer,
because
the transaction time of the customer.
Digital age, more people are becoming digital and less time. So more friendly, user
Sir,
friendly.
That is the one criteria you are saying, that the quality of the service.
Yes, sir. Sir, as a part of this policy schedule, we have considered one of the excessive branches, the branch manager. Like from being promoted to the branch manager to the AVP or the VP post in ICICI Bank, their APR, the annual performance, is the sole criteria. They need to maintain a certain threshold, and it also depends upon the number of the complaints which the branch is receiving through their service request portal. So this feature is in the back, but if you compare it with the public.
there is
No such thing.
no such appraisal system is in rule and force.
The human resource appraisal is okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, all of this. Our topic is investing in our greatest wealth, that is healthcare. And the key features in our presentation are current scenario, prevailing policies, lacunae, healthcare insurance models, case study, recommendations. In India, healthcare is one of the largest sector in both terms of revenue and employment. And the healthcare delivery system in India is a three-tier system: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Basically, sir.
What is the difference between these two?
Sir, primary healthcare basically focus on the effective way to prevent the diseases in local communities, and secondary and healthcare, which are the major hospitals in district and sub-district levels, and tertiary healthcare, medical colleges and research institutes in the healthcare, that comes under this. And basically, public healthcare system focus on primary healthcare and a little on the secondary and tertiary, but the private healthcare system mainly focus on secondary and tertiary because they are motive heavy profit making. And this primary healthcare is mainly in rural India, whereas in urban, secondary and tertiary are the dominating. The doctor to
This Ayush doctor also consider this Ayurvedic doctor?
yes sir, now in sub centers they have also been appointed as a doctors in, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. So the, including them, the doctor to patient ratio is 1:854 sir, and the nurse to doctor ratio is 1.7:1, and by that we will get as nurse to patient ratio as 1:500. And we would like to focus mainly on primary healthcare sir, because it is the effective way of preventing diseases in local communities. And in rural India, primary healthcare services are in the form of sub-center, primary health center, community health center. Sir, in sub-center is maintained and funded by central government, but it covers 5,000 population, sir. But there is only one doctor, whereas the doctor to patient ratio in India is 1:854. But if you compare in sub-center, it will be 1:5,000. Similarly, in primary health center, there will be only one medical officer, and now they are recommending one Ayush doctor also. And in community health center, there will be surgeons of nearly four. Four is mandatory, and there may be additional also. And these are the statistics, sir. And medical visa, there is government has introduced medical visa to promote medical tourism. This medical visa is given to the foreigners who want to avail medical treatment in India. And there are e-hospitals, sir. This made easy for the citizens to get appointments in the major hospitals.
So what is the difference between primary health center and community health center?
Sir, it depends on the coverage of the population, sir. And primary health center basically covers 6 times of sub-center, that is 30,000 to 20,000, sir. Six sub-centers. Yes, sir. Sir, 30,000 population in plain area, sir. 20,000 population in hilly and rural areas, sir. In community health center, sir, 1,20,000 in plain areas and 80,000 in bigger, sir. And next will be continued by Mahendra, sir.
Good morning, sir. I am Mahendra Kumar. So I will cover the current policy, existing major policy of Government of India on the healthcare sector. So first one is the National Health Policy 2017. So its aim is to inform, clarify, strengthen and prioritize role of the government. So demerits of this policy is, this policy not emphasize on regulating clinical standard which lead people to face malpractice and incur heavy loss. And this policy also place more responsibility on the ASA workers, and it has not provision to curb these self-employed doctors which have not medical qualified, and this policy also reject health as a justifiable right.
What do you think by that?
Justifiable right कि हेल्थ उसका राइट्स है पर पर्सन का कि उसको वो मतलब हेल्थ ट्रीटमेंट गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से प्रोवाइड हो, उसका राइट है ये, जैसे एजुकेशन राइट है.
Take government to the court. No, इसका मतलब क्या है?
पर्सन का राइट है हेल्थ.
अगर नहीं मिल रहा है तो क्या होगा?
तो फिर गवर्नमेंट उतना सर उस पर फोकस नहीं कर रही, जैसे एजुकेशन पर्सन का राइट है.
So my question is, can I take the government? ये state government है या central government?
सेंटर सर.
State is health is under which government?
सर हेल्थ और सेंटर और स्टेट दोनों का सब्जेक्ट रहता है.
ये justifiable right कौन सा government के लिए लागू है? Whenever you are presenting, you should be knowing what you are writing. Okay.
And the expenditure on the health which government is proposing around 2.5%, which is less when we compare it with the developed nation. And some of the demerits of the PMJAY that it does not cover the outcare patient, drug rehabilitation, organ transplant and fertility treatment. And this policy also have the issue with that security issue of the data of the patient, and this policy leads to the privatization of the healthcare system. And next will be continued by the.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, my fellow officers. Sir, India healthcare system has been battling with the various issues and challenges, as my friend also discussed with it. So these are the main areas on which we have to be focused on the urgent, immediate basis. The first one is the accessibility, second absence, accountability, awareness and affordability. We will see first one is accessibility. Is the India has been combating the deficient infrastructure due to lack of the well-equipped medical institutes. Additionally, the rate of building of the medical teaching and training facilities remains low in comparison to the need of the day. Second one is the shortage of efficient and trained manpower. This is a severe shortage of trained manpower is very low, as we know that the main percentage of the population, 60 to 70%, belongs to our rural populations. So as Reddy has been discussed, the ratio of doctor to patient ratio remains very low. This is main reason because of the low ratio. Sir, we will see in the recommendation also. Yeah. The third one is the accountability. Even prior of the outbreak of the COVID, health facilities has been realizing the main strain on the country. So we accept that the data 1.4 billion population of the India, so it is a very huge task to handle all the healthcare system. So this is the right time to adopt the necessary technology wherever possible to streamline an operational clinical process to manage the efficient patient flow. The fourth one is the awareness. National health policy, as Mahendra discussed, enlighten the health for all approach to provide assured health care at the affordable cost. So these policy needs to be more focused on the proactive healthcare, not the reactive, like we have seen in the COVID also. So the fifth one is the while government hospitals offers free health facilities, services, but these services, as we know, that understaffed and poorly equipped, locally located mostly in the urban areas. So public facilities leave the no alternative for the citizens. They have to go to the private facilities and incurring the high cost expenses on healthcare. So the possible solution for this is to increase the adoption in health insurance. And recently the 2021 data says that the less than the 40% of the population incurred with the health insurance schemes. So the government and the private institution both need to be work simultaneously in insurance system. The next. These are some health insurance models which we have studied, and the observation will be discussed, represented in the recommendation. So next will be continue with the case study by case.
Good morning, sirs. Good morning, my fellow officers. So here we have a case study on the role of Mohalla clinics in providing primary health care. A case study of Delhi it is. So the primary purpose of the healthcare system is to provide quality health services and enhance the health status of the community. To make primary healthcare more accessible and affordable to the lower income groups, the government of Delhi in 2015, they introduced an initiative referred as the Mohalla clinics to bring the primary healthcare at doorsteps of the people. These Mohalla clinics, they represent the ancient approach of medical mobile units or medical mobile vans that have been used in various countries. These Mohalla clinics run on a zero-cost model as it provides medicines and diagnostic tests to the underprivileged and free access to the medical consultation. So a research was conducted by Institute of Science, BHU Varanasi, and one Mohalla clinic in 11 districts of Delhi was selected. And accordingly, some specific objectives were studies like the staffing pattern and the availability of the infrastructure in those Mohalla clinics, and the opinion of the patient regarding the services they have been provided. So as per the results, we see that the majority of patients that were admitted into the Mohalla clinics who were consulted, they were women between 30 to 59 years of age, and the doctors there were well educated and experienced. Most of the Mohalla clinics, it was around 5 to 15 minutes of reach from the patients. They provided free consultation and free and effective medicines and free diagnostic tests to the patients. So according to the opinion of the people, the majority of the patients were fully satisfied with the Mohalla clinics, and therefore more such mobile units shall be initiated in various rural regions in order to provide good primary health care. We have some recommendations in order to improve the condition of healthcare sector in India. First of all, the budget of the healthcare sector should be increased to 10% of the GDP. Then the number of seats in the medical colleges, they should be increased, as we see only 533 government medical colleges as of now, and it has been proposed to introduce more 150 number of colleges, but they haven't come on ground yet. Then there should be a mandatory serving in the rural areas for 1 year at every stage of promotion of the doctors, so that the rural people are also being served, and it should be there for the doctors doing MBBS from the foreign universities and colleges as well. There should be an inclusion of a subject on basic medical aids at very primary level of education and its practical sessions also, so that the children, they also know about the first aid practices, and in any case in their home also, if they encounter any such things, they are able to help their family members to get out of the condition. Then more number of primary health service centers and community clinics as discussed, like the Mohalla clinics in rural areas, has to be come forward to increase the population cover. Then free medicine should be provided for the old age pensioners. There should be strict penalty on corruption, collusion by the doctors and the staff members. Like we see that the overpricing of the services are done during conditions like COVID. Yes. Then well preparedness for the pandemic should be there. The system should be shored up, as we have seen in the case of COVID. The public should also be prepared. There should be a coordination between various departments. Some mitigation measures should be taken beforehand, taking care of the previous things. Then a new normal has to be adjusted. Then help should be taken from the NGOs and other multilateral institutions in order to assess the quality of implementation of the scheme that has been going on. Like we have some NGOs like Swasth Foundation, Search, Society for Education, Action, Research in Community and Health. Such NGOs can take some initiatives like that. Then health insurance shall be made mandatory of all. As my friend Mohit said that less than 40% of the population has been covered by the health insurance as of now. So in order to keep our population healthy and happy, we have to make health insurance mandatory, and it should cover all the secondary and tertiary healthcare as well. And some including mobile health applications that tell us about some initial first aid and how to do the primary treatment shall also be introduced. Then there should be promotion of medical tourism in India for medical treatment, wellness and rejuvenation, and alternative cures like Ayush. It should develop a brand as a wellness destination. The accessibility should also be enhanced for medical tourism by liberalizing the visa policy. Yes, sir. That's all from our side, sir. Thank you.
So the question is for this Mohalla clinic,
yes,
do they have the proper doctor, or is it the paramedics who are there in the Mohalla clinic?
so there are paramedical staff plus the doctors as well.
How they are managing the doctors, because
So,
on the slide you are showing that there are so many less.
so it was an initiative in Delhi that a particular number of
What is
Mohalla clinics,
motivating the doctors to go and sit in the Mohalla clinic?
so they have been providing additional perks and all, but actually the thing is the government took the initiative so that the doctors go there and serve the rural people, so that if it is successful there, it can be implemented in a major scale, so that all the local population that is not able to
No,
access.
but see, I've been, some of my friends are doctors.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So typically what happens is, there is a clause that once you graduate with a MBBS degree, you will have to spend certain number of time
In rural areas.
of your practitioner time in some
Government.
in some village, in
rural
primary
areas,
healthcare
sir.
centers.
Rural areas.
Now what happens is, these people will show up on the first day, they will somehow get the certificates suggesting that they have spent that much amount of time in that particular district or village, and they actually come back. So what is the guarantee that is not happening here? Have you seen that?
Sir, I haven't observed it yet, but I think the way out from that can be a feedback can be taken from the local population that how the doctor has served
Local
them.
population doesn't know, right? You are saying that within that Ayush, you have Unani, you have homeopathy,
yes,
you have all this other thing clubbed together. So how I know that actually that is a doctor? Have you done some survey out of that?
No, sir, no, sir.
And you said that some additional perks. What additional perks? I don't think they are giving any additional perks.
No.
No additional
sir.
perks. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, first of all, as Professor Nilanjan raised in between, that when you are talking about right, of course we are trying to get health as a right of the human being, right of the citizens. But it is not yet made as a fundamental right in the constitutional framework. Once that is done, we have, every one of us has a right to get health, if not provided our health care, and we can take the government to the judicial system. So that is the kind of power that right has. So we are all trying to make it as right, fundamental right. Second, and one of the points when you are putting that the lacuna in, but don't you think that is quality of healthcare is not a problem? I just couldn't see the quality about, talking about quality in the issues you have discussed, that accessibility is definitely a problem, and of course affordability. But quality of the healthcare also, whatever is provided, that quality of healthcare is not.
There are two groups who are focusing on the healthcare, sir.
Okay.
But SAR insisted us to focus mainly on the number of doctors and this.
Yeah.
So, and we took the separate parts. So I think that will be covered by other groups.
Yeah. So then, what are the actual why? The government, these whatever the Delhi system, whatever the Mohalla clinic is working, why other rest of the India clinics, primary healthcare centers or sub centers, why they are not able to? What is the difference? What is the problem with the difference between why government? Delhi government Mohalla clinic is working now. Do you think it is working, functioning better, providing good healthcare? Mohalla clinic, whatever your case study.
Yes, sir.
What is your observation?
Yes,
They are
sir.
doing good.
Yes, sir. They are doing good, sir.
Doing good.
In this
Okay.
matter, they are
If we take that, so how it is in comparison with that, the Delhi Mohalla clinic, the rest of the India primary healthcare centers, what is their performance?
Sir, unmanageable patient load is high. Only some doctors are required.
Okay. Is it because of patient load the doctors in primary health centers, government primary health centers, that's why they are not able to provide health care, I mean, whatever.
Sir, in primary healthcare, the doctor to patient ratio is very less when compared to in private sector. Sir. So for that, Mohalla clinic like
Doctor to patient ratio is less or more?
more high.
More. Okay.
So that's why
Is
it is difficult.
that every primary health center is having sufficient number of healthcare professionals, doctors or other?
No, sir.
Shortage of the I mean doctors.
Even government want to increase, but there is shortage of doctors.
Then do you think that even those whoever are there, appointed or positioned there, do you think all they are present in there throughout the working hours? And so these are the two main issues. But how do we overcome that? Is not that part you couldn't come up with any. And then one is that filling the gap, shortage of the human resources in healthcare sector, and then the working of, functioning of these healthcare units. Their presence, I mean, absence or presence of making their presence of that. But these two things are important.
Increase in the seats, that should be done.
And also you could have also, I mean, I don't know if it is overlapping with others, but the using that technology, ICT, how do we make
that
use
is
of
what
that?
they will be covering more. That's why we didn't focus on that. Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning, sirs. Good morning, my fellow officers. Today we are here for presenting the policy paper on phasing out air pollution and improving the people's health, a policy towards making India a better place to live in. Myself, Sunil Chaudhary, and my group leader Ashok Singh, and Prashant Kumar Pasi, and Gopal Krishna Gautam. So, next, if we see phasing out air pollution and improving the people's health, these are the contents which we are going to deliver. Introduction, source of the air pollution, effects of the air pollution, the existing policy framework, new policy agenda, and comparison of the worldwide practices, strengthening the regulatory capacity, and concluding remarks. So, if you go to next slide, introduction. In introduction, so why air pollution is a serious issue? Because it is a serious health issue. Because out of 30 cities, 21 cities are in India. Out of the polluted 30 cities, 21 are in India, and around per year 2 million premature deaths because of air pollution. It is the 5th largest killer in the India, and about $28.8 billion worth output is reducing because of the air pollution. And compared to all developed countries, our country per capita emission is less, but our country is the 3rd largest greenhouse gas producer. So this is the problem. What are the main causes for the air pollution in India? So because the main cause is lack of political priority, because it won't give the votes. Next one is monitoring and the reaction by the authority. So this is the problem, because they are not monitoring and they are not taking reactive actions very well. Next one is the agriculture stubble burning and lack of the adoption to the modern technology, and lack of the green construction initiatives, and lack of the awareness, lack of the research in the technology, and upgradation of the transportation to renewable technologies. These are the main causes which is causing the air pollution. So main sources of the air pollution in India is the dust and the construction. In the construction and the construction activity, they have to construct green buildings which will be sustainable. And next one is the waste burning, and next one is the transportation, diesel generators, industries, and the domestic. Next. So major air pollutants in India are whatever the world, that is the more carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and particulate matter PM 2.5 and 10, lead. Next is the greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and methane. So most of the polluted, these are the 10 most polluted cities in India. So some slides were missed, sorry. And most of the 10 polluted cities are in the North India. These are mainly in the Kanpur is the most polluted city, and then Delhi, Lucknow, all these are in the North India because of the natural reasons and some other reasons also, because wind is flowing from the south to north during the monsoon, because most of the pollutions are going to the north. And
What does this eutrophication mean?
Eutrophication means due to the eutrophication means concentration of the nutrients at the one place. Nutrients at one place in the ocean, or it may be lake. So whenever there is a flooding because of the global warming, that flooding will take all the nutrition to the one area. That area will see it may be from the land. So whenever it is flooding, so next other issues are mainly health issues.
Go to next because you are already running short of time.
So other reasons are the acid rains which will cause the Next one is GDP. See 1.36% of the GDP overall it is reducing. And Constitution of the India. If we come to the Constitution of India, fundamental rights.
Go to the next slide.
Next slide.
A very good afternoon to sir and all my fellow officers. I will talk about the existing policy and the new policy required. The National Clean Air Program, which has launched by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in 2019, which has identified... Okay. So basically, new policy is required to address the problems that current policy has. So there are specific areas which include NCP is largely a continuation of traditional policies, which has long list of unprioritized actions. So
power plant emission norms. What is the new norm? Power plant emission norms under MCRHRD,
which is 15 microgram per meter cube. It has been reduced. The program is mostly urban centric and focuses on only limited cities, but the air pollution is typically influenced by the outside sources which NCP does not cover. NCP misses addressing governance gaps directly. It introduces new policies and committees at the central and state level, but does not institutionalize what action should be taken and who would be responsible if targets are not met and what legal and financial implications would follow. So we require to strengthen the NCAP, so there is a need to focus efforts on prioritized actions to improve the enforcement capacity of Pollution Control Board and increasing their accountability and to begin extensive consultation program about the governance reforms. Now Prashant will continue.
Good afternoon, sirs, and my dear fellow officers. So now I will compare worldwide what happening with air pollution and what are they are taking control measures. So as we recall Beijing Olympics 2008 in which Abhinav Bindra won the gold medal. So when we saw the opening ceremony, the cloud was clear when lights up. But after few minutes the clouds come back. That was due to the air pollution. So just I am trying to say that it's too hard in China that it cannot be ignored. Even some athletes didn't compete at all due to air pollution. And even in winters, you can't see even your fingers right in front of you. So let's talk about Delhi. If you survive one day in Delhi, it equals to 7 cigarettes in normal summer days. And in winters, it even crosses 20 cigarettes a day. So that's how much air pollution is in India and as well as in China. So what they did, China, they just take it as a war, and with the help of World Bank, they have invested in energy efficiency and air pollution control. They have mainly focused on the source, that is coal burning, where the boilers generates the gases. First of all, they have installed mechanical equipments on the top to reduce the pollutants like web scrubblers, electrostatic scrubblers, and desulfurization and denitrification. And they also have invested in research and development of renewable energy sources. So even they do not allow new plates to come easily. They do it by lottery, and they have used even odd method very effectively. New plates, hardly, sir. One in 2000 they allow one. In 1 year they allow 1 in 2000, sir, plates, sir. Vehicle plates. And also in Shanghai they do on lottery basis. Whoever wins the plate lottery, they give. So that's how costly it is. So they reduce the. Sir, you have to first bid in Shanghai. Even the bidding amount is more than the cost of the car. So that's how costly it is. That's how they reduced. And they have used even odd, and also they have focused on electrical vehicles and hybrid vehicles. And also they have developed charging infrastructure so that electrical vehicle gets promoted. And also, and by doing that, they have reduced 35% in Shanghai air pollution. That's a very good number. And now we'll talk about USA. Okay, sir. More or like same steps has been taken, but they have focused on the source and also process, how the coal process the energy, and also improving efficiency in the process. Okay. They have used clean air technology, mechanical collectors, web scrubbers, and also they have promoted public transport and factories made out of cities so that pollutants can't enter the cities, and they have used absorption and adsorption to reduce the pollution. And that's all from me, and now my friend Gopal will continue.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm here to explain what measures we can take so that these policies can be implemented efficiently and provide the best output, and how to strengthen this regulatory capacity. The human resource currently available with the Central Pollution Control Board and state PCBs are understaffed. CPCB has around. Yes, sir. We will improve center-state PCBs interactions, and we will provide adequate technical training to the manpower of pollution control boards staffs. And by making the PCB more accountable and transparent to the public, and addressing their query in a proper manner. There is a requirement of empowering PCBs such that they can initiate systematic and proportional responses to pollution activities, such as amending the law to permit a more diverse regulatory toolbox, such that like levying financial penalties. This would increase the pliability of the PCBs. By improving the standards of laws and regulations, it will help in reducing toxic emissions from industrial resources, reducing vehicular emissions. Air pollution in India is second largest public health risk after malnutrition. It is a pan-India problem. 100 plus cities are designated as non-attainment cities. Air quality in India, particularly in rural India, is grossly under-monitored. So maybe with these improvements and suggestions, we will be able to control and reduce air pollution. Thank you, sir.
Air pollution is a public good, right? Air pollution is a public good. So how to control this public good? Because no one is willing to pay price for that. Can you think of anything?
I think government should take initiative.
How? Initiative
First
is
of all,
fine.
fund allocation must be made. So like in China, they have taken loan from with help of World Bank. They have invested in their pollution control.
So by giving the various incentives like tax incentives.
What about tax?
Like vehicle tax, if you take the electrical vehicle, if you give the tax incentive, then people might buy electrical vehicle.
Incentive, why not use tax as a penalty?
We can use tax as a penalty, but government generally won't prefer it because it will be the problem for them.
Why this government has done it?
The penalty we can impose, but this is the last priority for the government because they want to win the next election also.
On the part of citizens, what is the rate contributing to reduction of the...
Yes. See, main problem is people are not aware about the pollution and their effects. So this must be inculcated in all the curriculums. It's already available. Now people are more aware compared to previous, and from the people also. For example, once they burn wood for the cooking, now they are went to the and gas. So now they are able to reduce somewhat compared to old. At the same time, even if you see the air pollution like ACs now, because of this ozone layer is also depleting. Now government is doing some intensives and initiatives such that they ban this chlorofluorocarbon type refrigerators which can give the more cooling. Now they are replaced with some other. Yes, sir. So it is actually involved in wide. This is the wide topic. It involved in even industries, vehicles. It involved in everywhere. There is a strict norms. Even for example, if you take our power stations, there they are using electrostatic respirators, which can take all the dust particles and they can absorb the pollutants. They are somewhat taking some measures which can reduce the air pollution. So even there is a Air Pollution Act 1981. As for it. Yes, sir. Technology means there should be some research and development in the technology also, which is lacking in India, and we have to import that technology which is more costly at present. Government is allowing FDIs for it, which will be useful for taking the technology also along with it.
Our topic is healing the health sector, a critical analysis and policy intervention in the backdrop of COVID. So a good health care system is an important pillar for development of any country. The pandemic has made us realize that there is an acute shortage of medical infrastructure and skilled workforce in proportion to the country's population. There are various other aspects where our health system is lacking behind, such as financing and role of technology, etc. So thus there is an immediate need for a comprehensive policy on health in order to equip us for any other situation like COVID in coming, which we might face in future. The things which we will be covering in our presentation is existing policy framework, budgeting, human resource for health, role of technology, public health, public outreach of health and preventive healthcare. Now I call upon Avnish.
Good afternoon, sir. So I'm Avnish Yadav. I will be discussing what are the existing policy framework in India. India is second most populous country in the world with widespread poverty across the country, which makes it and tropical climate, which makes its population susceptible to diseases. So, as my friend Ayush said that it is health is an important aspect of any country. So MDG and SDG also have recognized the importance of these goals. In India, what is the condition that health is not a fundamental right? It is not even a statutory right. In India, the health is a subject that has been delegated to the state. The 2/3 of the financing is done by the state and 1/3 of the financing is done by the center. It can't be claimed as a right. What it means from the fundamental right, that it can't be challenged in the court. If facilities are not available to the public, they can't take it to the court. So the first in 2015 draft national health policy, it was there to make it as right, but the idea was dropped because the states claimed that the infrastructure is not at that level that it can be made it as a right. The health policy first came in 1983 after 36 years of independence, second in 2002 and the latest in 2017. The 2002 and 1983 policies have not done very good because some of the goals that were set out in that 83 policies is not even met out today. In 1983 they made that every birth will be attended by the trained person, but even now, even 80 to 83% birth is only attended by the trained person. So now I will discuss some of the features of 2017 policy. It moved from the selective to comprehensive primary healthcare covering all the diseases. It has planned to increase.
Health expenditure from 1.15.
Yes, sir. Central GDP of the country. Integration of Ayush system. Overall expenditure of the GDP, whether of state or central. Yes, sir.
State, central, as well as private.
Are you sure? Because 2.5 is
2.5% of the GDP of the country.
I thought it is around 4% if you take into.
No, sir. In policy, it is written 2.5%. Public health expenditure, yes, sir. So, sir, it sets out the plan of doing everything, but it doesn't tell us what who will do it. What is the like how will achieve its goal? The financial capability 2.5% is not sufficient to meet its ambitious goals of the policy. So now we will discuss some of the factors, and I will like to call upon Mr. Ayush.
So with an increase of over 450 million population in last 2 decades, the growth, and with economic growth rate over 7%, with rapid socio-economic demographic blend, the recent ongoing COVID pandemic, we keeping all these factors in viewpoint, the requirement of healthcare system of the country has changed significantly, and there has been around 16.5% cumulative annual growth rate in health sector from 2018, and the healthcare industry is predicted to climb to up to 372 billion by the end of financial year 22-23. And financing of health sector has been a major problem in India. An important factor which helps determining the importance given to health sector is the public expenditure done as a percentage of GDP. So we can see here in the graph that the public expenditure has been varying between 1.2 to 1. It has been constant till 1.2, around 1.2. It has been varying till 1.6. It was 1.6 during 2000. It was 1.29 in 2019-20, and we see that we are lagging behind from most of the other countries. Like Japan is having 9.2, Brazil. Not just developed countries, we are lagging with amongst big peers as well. So also there has been a high level of out-of-pocket expenditure, and the revenue sources are very much fragmented. Like Avnish was telling that around 75% is done out of pocket expenditure from private household, and state government does around 15.2%, followed by central government of 5.2%.
What does it mean, fragmentation in risk pooling?
So risk pooling is that using of health insurance. So there are a lot of players. There is no standard policy. We'll take up in details, sir. Like,
what is strategic purchasing?
So using of the funds to give incentive to those providing the healthcare services to enhance the quality. Like we are having a private hospital as well, and public hospital as well, and there are some CGHS independent hospitals. So there is free service, but there is no incentive to improve the quality. So, weekend digital infrastructure is also there. There is no accounting, no transparency. So steps to strengthen the budgeting, that we can shift the financing of healthcare. Like what we see that even though the overall healthcare expenditure in India needs to be increased, but this does not mean that necessarily that we have to deploy more public resources in healthcare. There are many countries when compared to India that have lesser total spending in healthcare, but have performed better on various indicators. So some of the strategies which can do is shifting the financing of healthcare system to bigger risk pooling, like then reducing the fragmentation of medical service, and empowering the patient to be better purchaser. Like they are not aware about the terms and condition of the health insurance schemes, so they are not able to judge what there is a neglect in about health insurance between the common people.
Good afternoon, sirs. My name is Anupam Kumar. I just, as time is constraint, I just want to mention one point. In the health system, as we know that it only function efficiently if the health workers are good. So as we saw in the corona time, in the pandemic, our health system collapsed. One of the most important reasons, according to me, is the attrition rate at which the health employees are leaving their jobs.
So you mean by attrition of, what do you mean by attrition of health professionals?
Means who have degree
and diploma degree, but they are not willing to continue as their profession, and they have left.
From the healthcare professionals, are they leaving? Do you mean by only those who are leaving public healthcare sector, they are leaving, or all together they are leaving healthcare?
Both incidents are, but majorly who have
their private clinics and all won't attend the hospital. They would go for one.
They are working in the same profession wherever, whether in the public sector or private sector. You cannot say that is attrition. But if they are leaving the profession, you can say.
That is also
they are also leaving. We can also see that a report says that 30% of the professionals who are having degree and 60% of the diploma holders are leaving their professionals. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like in civil service also, some of the doctors are coming. So another point I would like to bring up is irregular distribution of health force in urban and rural areas. So as I am from rural area only, so I can see that if I have to go to some basic facilities, I am not having I have to do dialysis of my father, so I have no means of there at my home. So this should be addressed, and according to the report Human Infrastructure Index, India ranks 113 out of 184 countries. So this is also very poor. Okay, this will be continued by Abhinav Goyal.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Abhinav Goyal. So, digital technology have proved to be a game changer in multiple fields, be it education, communication, banking, etc. We need to make a policy framework so that we can incorporate use of digital technology, artificial intelligence and machine learning into healthcare sector, so as to improve its efficiency and revolutionize it completely. We know that the present day the healthcare sector is overburdened. That led to the failure of our healthcare system during the COVID-19 pandemic. We can utilize the artificial intelligence in making clinical decisions and assistance to physicians that can help to predict better treatment plans and can reduce the workload from doctors to machines. And it can be used in pre-diagnostic systems, like during the COVID, we were through television and other mediums, patients were being advised that these are the symptoms of COVID. That can be used through artificial intelligence and machine learning, not just for diseases like COVID. Other complex can also be generalized so that patients can diagnose themselves. And radio diagnosis can also be done. X-rays, MRI scans can be studied thoroughly through the use of artificial intelligence. Personalized medicine, there is a concept of genome sequencing. So each patient has a different requirement of medicines that can be studied through use of artificial intelligence. And in remote areas where their hospitals are not available, telemedicine can be used as a means to provide healthcare services in an effective way. So the challenges that we face with artificial intelligence will be covered by Rajat. Thank you.
You have to finish. As Abhinav discussed that artificial intelligence is going to revolutionize the healthcare industry in the coming times, but there are a few challenges we need to address. The first is the nature of healthcare industry. We are totally relying on the conventional methods of in healthcare, and we need to train our healthcare workforce. Like in the village visit, we have seen that the ASHA workers are carrying a tablet where all the data of the villagers are centralized at one place, so they can monitor all of it. So in the same way, we have to train them. The next is the technical constraints. We don't have a indigenous cloud-based system in India, due to which the companies don't want to risk their confidential health records so that it can lost. So for this we can use the Niti Aayog made a new DG Box cloud. It can be used. The next is the socio-cultural issues. In India, this is mostly seen in the economically weaker and illiterate persons that they want to see the doctor physically. They won't trust on the AI-based systems and solutions. So we have to make such solutions that they generate a sense of faith among the patients. And the next is the cyber security and regulatory issues. This is very important because if the data gets leaked, the confidentiality is at risk. So we have to address these issues also. We need a regulatory authority in India. The next is to ensure all this universal coverage. We can come up with a health ID, which is also launched by Government of India. The unique 14-digit number where all the records of any patient, their diseases, their tests, their medications, prescriptions, all will be at one place, and then it can help in getting their medical aid. Yes, sir. This is the boost to indigenous startups. Under the Make in India campaign, there are some of these, there are just few of them which have come up, the startups. There are tools which are developed indigenously to provide a cost-effective solution for healthcare. Next, we have preventive healthcare. Avnish will cover.
Guys, you are up. You just 1 minute.
So the preventive healthcare, sir, because if we are get ill, there are greater repercussions like out of the pocket cost and the serious health condition. To prevent that, we are proposing in our policy in diagnostics to like some early silent diseases like diabetes and hypertension and all. We will mandate the we are proposing to mandate to make it mandatory the regular checkup of persons over 25 years. They will be checked once in a year, and the sanitation as a crucial tool. It will be like existing programs Swachh Bharat mission. They will be highlighted even more. And then incentivization. Currently, what is happening? We are getting tax exemption only on the expenditure we incur on the medical treatment. We are proposing that we will make all the expenses that we incur on the healthy lifestyle will be made tax free. Next is awareness, promoting fitness and recreational sports, and integration IOS scheme. So to conclude this, I would like to say that I have read somewhere that बीमारी गरीब के घर की दीवारें भी खा जाती है और उन दीवारों से बनते हैं बहुमंजिला चिकित्सालय. So sir, so the main issues are busting, and role of technology can play a great role in dealing all these issues. Sir.
Still, one crucial, of course, technology is most important required, especially this healthcare sector, is human resources. Skill the shortage and making them working. The private sector, public sector, ensure that so using the technology to make sure that functioning
So it's there in our policy. Like I was saying, that a strengthened, we need to have a.
Even when you are saying using AI, they can see that this is, but still doctor.
No, sir. Yes.
The quantity and quality, as you were mentioning, of workforce is very important at this time. So what we have to do is we have to incentivize this healthcare professional. All the basic workers, healthcare workers, sanitation workers are there. So we have to incentivize them. Then only, because they have a very tough life, and we have to address their situation. Then we will see that low attrition rate and all.
The doctors, whether they are getting license, less outcome or any other
So like in COVID, what government did was they increased their salaries. So there was increased motivation, not like to serve the people, and we have to make them aware that it is their social duty. Who are then in that profession, it is their social duty. So these kind of things we can take.
On having using technology, we can have that. We often see that in private in these Ayush centers and primary healthcare sector, doctor would visit for an hour. and they would come back. They would just put their attendance. So we can use the technology that they would give an attendance there, and that would be geotagged, something like that. So it can ensure that they are physically present there. So availability to common people would increase. We can have a feedback mechanism as well in the app. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. To kind of wrap up this session, so I'm a teacher. So at some point of time, I also did qualify for this UPSC, but that's a long story. Some of the key takeaway from your presentation, if I am looking at a slide like this, I will always tend to get lost because I'm not here to read your stuff, So most of the time what is happening is when you're presenting, you're just reading through this thing without actually knowing what is the crux of that thing. So the rule of thumb is it should be 5 by 5, meaning that in a single line there should not be more than 5 words, and also there should not be more than 5 lines, And then you try to build up the story on that. And when you build up the story, it has to be grounded on your research, because we started off by saying that you are trying to identify a policy issue, And what I was actually seeing when you are presenting, you are actually spreading it too thin, and you are actually trying to repeat some of the policy initiative that has already been taken. So when I'm sitting as a listener, it does not excite me that much, So going forward, the idea is you should be able to build on the existing policy framework which is already there, and try to start by saying that why what you are presenting is important. So the first slide should be why this topic is important, not that the history as to what has happened, Then you start to, the second slide should be some of the key takeaway from the existing policy. The third slide is the limitation of the key takeaway, what the government has done, why it has not been successful, or what I can actually deliver to make it more successful. And fourth is your own thought process, okay, that out of the box thinking like I was trying to mention. And please remember, whenever you're writing something, it should not be the case if someone is asking that what it means, you have no clue as to how to defend that. So ensure that whatever you're presenting, you have to give the data source, which I don't find in some of the slides. You are just mentioning that this percentage of GDP or that percentage of things, so that kind of thing should not be there, okay. So this is just a suggestion. You guys are going to start your new journey, but you also have to be professional, okay. So it's not that government job mil gaya theek hai, chalta rahega. But please also know that going forward, some of your skill that you are learning through this type of maybe workshop, maybe class research project, it will come handy. So all my best wishes to all of you. And before you want to say something? Yeah.
Yeah, it was very good. I mean, you made some effort. Of course, I mean, it's learning time. We have to learn, I mean, every point of time and move on that. Okay, wherever we are, I mean, since you are in this whatever government duty or in profession, so ultimate our objective is to improving human well-being. It's not only ourselves but also for the rest of the society that we are, I mean, living in. So improving the human well-being in the human societies, I mean, all through, I mean, wherever particular society we are referring to our country or whatever. So that kind of service in terms of whatever the way we do, and trying to improve our policy or strategies and something like that. So intellectual level as well as whatever. So that's how, I mean, I think you will take it up forward and do whatever your way at the policy level or otherwise. And Okay, all the best and thank you. Thanks for that.